Welcome back to the Inter Extra podcast. I'm back once again. To the left of me is my boy Sean. Sean, how are you feeling?
I am good. I can't complain. We're getting closer to the season, so I'm getting really excited. How about you?
Yeah, I'm also excited, and I'm also excited because we have our good friend Luca Bendoni back on the show, back as a special guest for some insight. Luca, how are you doing?
Hi guys, pleasure as always. Hope you're
Yeah,
fine.
we're gonna.
It will be an interesting one.
It will be an
full
interesting
market.
one. We are in full swing indeed. We have some great questions for you again, hoping for some insight. And yeah, I'll let Sean start us off. But before that, guys, remember to like, subscribe, comment down below any opinion you guys have. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter if you don't already. Inter_Xtra on both. And if you're listening on the different platforms, make sure you give us a good rating and share it with your friends, share it with everyone that you know to spread the podcast. But Sean, I'll let you kick us off. You have a question for Luca already.
Yes, of course. Yeah, Luca. This morning, last night, we got the news about Frattesi. Yesterday, we got the news about Frattesi. Here we go from Fabrizio about him going to Lazio. And then this morning, I believe it was Sky Sports that was reporting Davide Frattesi's details of the deal had to change because some financial issues with Lazio. Do you have any tales further on what happened there? Anything on the Lazio side, and what exactly the details of the deal are, and then what that could mean for Curtis Jones in the coming weeks at the end of the mercato?
Okay, so the question of Frattesi, the whole issue was that Lazio need to make a market that is totally balanced. So if they spend 10, they must sell for 10 due to the regulations of the financial stability of the league. Okay, so thing is, Frattesi was regarded as a deal, initially was structured as a deal on loan with obligation to buy at certain conditions that were easily matchable. So the system of the league, the transfer matching system of the league, basically didn't allow Lazio to register Frattesi because the indexes of financial stability couldn't basically afford, but it's something that it's processed by machines. It's automatic. It's not like a man of the league who said no, the transfer cannot go on.
Yeah.
But due to technical issues, they couldn't make the transfer happen because it was already granted that Lazio was to pay Inter the full 15 millions due to the obligation to buy at easy conditions. Okay, because it was 1 million loan, 14 million option that became obligation at conditions, plus add-ons, plus percentage, high percentage. So now they restructured the deal. The deal is now on loan with option, with no obligation, but in a sense to like force Lazio to make the investment as soon as the loan is finished. The loan is paid 5 million and the option is worth 10 million. So it would be pointless for Lazio to get Frattesi back to Inter, give him back after paying 5 million loan. So they are like, they need to buy him to get value to the team next summer. So they managed to rearrange the 15 millions in a different structure with the same conditions on the deal. And well, this doesn't change the actual conditions of the deal. In the end, okay, the structure changes, the facts don't. How this can affect Curtis Jones? Not really, to be honest. The pursuit of Curtis Jones will depend on Liverpool's requests. Of course, Inter really want Curtis Jones since January. It's a name that we revealed in January on Sky Sport, and it's something that is going on since then. But it will depend on Inter's condition and Liverpool condition. Of course, they will not force a deal to conditions that are higher than what they expect. But I think they will definitely move now, and they will definitely pursue a deal and try to make everything possible to agree. Also, the Frattesi sale is not the only sale that Inter are like programming or that they are open to doing. This is sure thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I'm not surprised that doesn't really change much since it doesn't depend on Inter, it depends on Liverpool. So that makes sense. But you already mentioned it, Luca. It couldn't be, or it might not be the only sell, because we have a situation ongoing with Luis Henrique, right? There was the breaking news that you and your camp actually released a few days ago, and no one really expected it. But Luis Henrique might be going to Roma. What's the situation right now? Because we heard some rumors, he said yes, and then some people are saying he said no. And then there's some talks about maybe it's 30 million straight away, 25 million, or maybe it's an obligation to buy. What is the situation as of now, and what could still happen?
Yeah, the Luis Henrique situation is very dynamic as far as I know. We reveal the interest, and then we reveal that Inter and Roma basically agree on the conditions of a potential deal, which doesn't mean they are set to complete the deal. It means that Roma, if they decide that Luis Henrique is the man they want on the wings, they know the conditions and they will pay the conditions. Okay, so it's a verbal agreement, let's say, verbal understanding of what the conditions are and how to seal the deal. So in between clubs, everything is fine. The moment that Roma decides, okay, we go for him, and the moment he says, okay, I'm going to Roma. Between clubs, it's already sorted. There will be no need of a negotiation of, okay, we try 20, and then we try 25, and then we try 30. It's already basically sorted at approximately 30 within, including bonus. The thing now are multiple, of course. It's a dynamic situation. The first is the player, because the player has not closed the door to any departure or to Roma specifically. He is open to listening to the proposals. He's open to even joining Roma the moment Roma will make an offer that he considers valuable according to his requests. So there have been contacts, of course, in between parties, and a decision will follow soon, I expect, after the mid-month. Now, I think next week we might have some clarity. We will have some clarity about Luis Henrique, but
Okay.
it's also something on Roma side, because Roma are now pursuing different targets. Rodrigo Mora's pursuit was basically not done, but was very close to be done. Now it's being complicated. So there are many scenarios going on in Roma. Not that Rodrigo Mora would exclude Luis Henrique or vice versa. They could still coexist. They are different players, but meaning that Roma are working on many targets, and the pursuit of Rodrigo Mora that has extended throughout the whole week has certainly slowed down the pursuit of other players also, which can be Luis Henrique or other names that we know they have on the list, maybe Cacciamani of Torino or other players. So that's the situation in between clubs. If Roma decide to push, and if Luis Henrique decide that's the destination he wants to go, it's okay. Now it's on both sides, Roma and the player, to negotiate and to decide what to do.
Okay.
That's the full situation explained. Because some people quoted us saying that we said it's done deal, it's set to be done, etc., etc. It's not yet. It may become.
Yeah. It was pretty clear that was a verbal agreement between clubs, is what it sounded like to me, at least. No, that's great. That's good to know. And before I move on to the next question, is there any other deal associated with the Luis Henrique deal to Roma? Is there a name Inter have waiting for that, or is that an opportunità, as Beppe says, near the end of the mercato, that they can move for a player that Chivu might desire as that comes up?
Yeah, I think the scenario is this one, that Inter will look for players in a specific way, of course, opportunities, because if Inter goes for Curtis Jones and manage to agree a deal, also economically, financially, it's an important investment, as it was SPENCE. So there will be two huge investments, big investment, not huge, but big. So they will be looking for opportunities, sure thing. Not that they would not make another investment, it's possible. but they will assess the options and they will not make an investment just for the sake of making an investment. That's for sure. But Chivu has always requested also a man who can dribble, a man who can give him different solutions. A more number 10-ish player, so winger that can dribble, this kind of player, you know, that was negotiated. And also, for example, Moussa Diaby was that kind of player. Now it's very difficult that Inter come back in pursuit because they understand after a negotiation, after going back on him, after revisiting the target, that there are no matching conditions as of now with Al Ittihad. Then later in the window we cannot know, but in this moment there are no concrete conditions. Same thing for Nico Gonzalez. He's also a player that we should keep an eye on if the right opportunity comes, even if it's not a hugely concrete topic as of now, meaning that there are no agreements or advanced negotiation on that. But just to let you understand which kind of profile Inter might be look at if Luis Henrique goes. Malik Fofana was also another name mentioned that Inter have been proposed, like they received the name on the table and they appreciate a lot his profile. The sporting area of Inter really like him. That does not mean that we said that there are negotiations whatsoever, because there are no negotiations at the moment. Just a name they have on the table, potentially on a list.
Awesome. Yeah. So the next name that we wanted to mention was came from Germany, actually. An article in the Bild news outlet mentioning Reggiani from Borussia Dortmund, that Inter has expressed interest in the player and bringing him to Italy maybe in a now or maybe in a year. That's not quite clear, but that there was an interest in the player.
So, yeah, you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So on Reggiani, the only thing I can really say to you is that he's an outstanding player. So I can imagine all top clubs in the world, including Inter, to be interested in him. On the
Okay.
feasibility of any potential deal, we are still making checks.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
I remember reading the article. Obviously, it was in German, hence why I was the one that was like trying to dive deep into what they were saying, and it sounded a lot more like what you just said, Luca. You know, like top clubs are always making like or always requesting information about these top talents. I don't think that's something that's like crazy to like something more concrete. It's just something that happens a lot, you know. And I think people kind of need to take these reports with a pinch of salt. So that's kind of what I expected you to say here. I can't lie. And then yeah, there's
You know
two
me
more.
well enough.
No, of course. There's two players I wanted to ask you about that are kind of, you know, just there in the squad right now. Christian Aslani and Yanis Masoren. Obviously, Masoren right now is still fighting off an injury. But what are the plans regarding those two players in terms of, obviously, Masoren probably leaving on loan, but Aslani, like, are there any potential destinations for him?
Yeah, the club is looking for a solution. That's a sure thing for both of them. Masolan can depart on loan. Aslani, the club would also be open to a sale. Absolutely, they proposed him into a potential, verbally proposed him into a potential, as a potential solution to make Diaby come to Milano.
Yeah.
But in the end, Al Ittihad did not approve those conditions, and in general, not just Al Ittihad but parties weren't keen on this kind of solution. So it was something that was explored and in the end turned down initially. But there was this exploration, let's say, this inquiry. Club would be open to let Christian Aslani leave permanently, from my understanding, but they will consider the proposal that will come in the next days. There was no, and there is at the moment, as far as I know, no immensely concrete opportunity for Aslani as of now. But of course, he's a player that on the market in the last days will become an opportunity for many clubs in Italy and not only. So I expect movements around him. I don't expect him to have zero requests whatsoever, because he's not that kind of player, and he always found multiple solutions during every market window.
Yeah, I was always surprised that he never went to Real Betis back in, I think it was January, or was it last summer? That was always
Also
something
last
that,
summer.
yeah, last summer, because I feel like La Liga would suit him best, but that's just my opinion, you know, his playing style also. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Sean?
Yeah, the last thing that we wanted to discuss with you, Luca, is the U23 team who did play today, but some of the players appeared or were on the bench for the club today. Some were not on the list, and so we just had a couple questions on what was going on with these players. First, of course, Isiaka Kamate, Jamal Idrisu, Topalovic are some of the big names that we believe are leaving either with buyback clauses or loan deals. There's also Thomas Berenbroek and Matteo Lavelli. So those names, if there's anything that any updates you can give on those few names first, and then I've got a couple others afterwards.
So to start with Kamate, Kamate has a potential opportunity in Espanyol. The deal was never done. Clubs were looking to find an agreement and they were close to an agreement. At the moment, the situation has stalled a little bit, but of course, the negotiation was through and we confirmed it. And I spoke about it personally because I was covering that deal, and I'm still. At the moment, there is a moment of stall, let's say, but I don't exclude that the negotiation will restart soon. There is also other opportunities, both in Italy and foreign clubs for Kamate. And next week, I think we will have clarity about where he will end up. With Espanyol, Inter was negotiating a transfer that could have been permanent with a buyback option and or high percentage on future sale that could have been up to 50%. So the structure of the proposed deal was that one, which is not done yet. It can be done next week, as Kamate also has another proposal that will be assessed by his camp.
Great.
Then we have Topalovic. Topalovic has many requests, and I think he may leave because he already has done a year in the U23. So now I think is the moment of the next step. Idrisu has had many offers during the whole market. He had a very concrete one in Köln in Bundesliga. They wanted him. They made an offer to Inter that was rejected because they couldn't agree on the buyback option, because Köln wanted a kind of fee and Inter wanted another kind of fee as a buyback clause. Of course, Inter wanted it lower, and Köln wanted it higher. But Inter are open to solutions for him, but they absolutely do not want to lose the control on the player because they know he's a great player, and he has also demonstrated it in the preseason that he has made.
Yeah, absolutely.
So these are the players of the U23 that we can expect something to happen for. The others, I would say they're staying. Bovio is set to extend the contract. Marello stays in U23. Lavelli stays in U23 unless surprises. Maillet can be both, can either stay or maybe having something in foreign leagues. We will see, but I would expect him, or at least the club plans with him to stay. But if something happens, it may happen on Maillet, in my opinion.
Okay. And I have one more name then after all of that, and it's more about will this player move up from the U17s up to the U23 regularly, and that's Thomas Matarese, having gotten some minutes in preseason for the U23 team. Is he going to be a regular, the 16-year-old? Will he be a regular with the team, or will he play with the Primavera more?
I expect the 2009 born players that went with the under 23 in the preseason, so Matarese, but also Rocca and a couple others, to play regularly in Primavera, and occasionally, if there is need in the U23, why not? Absolutely, they are part of the squad also in the U23, but they will regularly play in Primavera. Keep an eye also on both. Matarese is a great player. Rocca is also a great player. He's another left back. Inter has a great tradition. 2007 Cocchi, 2008 Marello, 2009 Rocca. It's beautiful scouting on the on the whole Italian regions.
Yeah, I was gonna say we are gonna have some nice players to watch for a potential few youth league games. So that's gonna be good to see. And definitely, the step up from Primavera to under 23 being a little more, I guess, lenient this year would be nice, because last year was very much like, okay, some players got moved up, but they didn't really get to play. So maybe that's a bit easier this year. Let's see. I think that's everything, Sean, unless you have anything else for Luca today.
No, I think that covers it all.
We'll see how the market goes. We'll see how the next few weeks develop. Maybe we'll bring you on one more time, maybe in 2-3 weeks. But it was a pleasure to have you on once again. if, as always, Luca, you
My
want to
pleasure.
plug your socials and what you do and your whole team, then feel free to do so.
Yeah, guys, it's just the usual. So you find me on socials at my name. Mostly I post on X, Instagram. I don't use it really much. And most of all, follow the team. So follow Di Marzio and Sky Sport, and make sure not to lose any of our updates, because there will be many in the next few days on both outgoings and incomings. Thank you very much for hosting me again, and it's always a pleasure to be here with you, friends. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Thank you. Appreciate it. So, guys, that was Luca once again. Shout out to Luca. Make sure you follow him. As he said, he put all his socials. We are going to cover the rest that we didn't discuss with Luca, and also some things that we did discuss, just to kind of circle back to what he said. First of all, of course, guys, regarding incomings, actually, maybe we'll spin back to the under 23 squad. The under 23 squad just finished their Coppa Italia Serie C game, I believe. I'm not sure what the score is right now. Sean, maybe you can check whilst we're recording, or I'll check whilst you're talking. But we'll have a look at them, because they are the only team that's playing. You're nodding at me. What are you trying to tell me?
It looks like they're it's 1-1. It's in the 99th minute, when there was only supposed to be 4 added minutes to the end of the game. I'm guessing that SofaScore hasn't updated if they're in.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Then we'll probably cover that again whilst we're
extra one
recording.
on the scoreline.
Yeah, we'll probably cover that as we go along. But so we go into incomings, since there was no other game ever since we last recorded. Jed Spence came out of nowhere, right? I don't think we talked about him when we last recorded, because literally a few hours after we recorded last Sunday, I believe this kind of came out again. Fabrizio first talked about it on his YouTube channel. He was like, oh yeah, keep an eye on him. He could come back into the frame. And then within like 2 days, it was done. And the Here We Go came. It was very interesting. What was also very interesting is the fact that Curtis Jones left a like on the Instagram post of the Here We Go. He's just waiting. He's just itching to join us as well.
He's desperate.
And,
poor guy.
There was a leaked image on Getty Images of just official pictures of him signing before it was actually meant to be revealed. So they took it down by now, but still funny. But yeah, in terms of Jed Spence, some details, guys. It is rumored to be a fee of 31.5 million euros plus bonuses of up to 3.5 million euros, I believe. A contract of 5 years for 3 million a year net, I think. If I'm not mistaken, if I have my numbers correct. I should have probably written the numbers down somewhere, guys. But that's the deal. He already came for his medicals, no issues. Signed his contract this afternoon. So probably going to be announced probably tomorrow morning, I believe. Some photo shooting and whatnot. But Sean, how do we feel about this transfer?
Well, I think if any of you have been listening to the podcast for a couple of weeks now, for a couple of months, for over the past year, you know that I could not despise a country and a league more than this one. But once again, I'll put that aside, and I will say that it seems like this is the type of profile athletically that Chivu has been wanting from some of his signings. So if you're talking about the Devaro Reed type of profile, where they said he was too short, or maybe he wasn't quick enough, like they were talking about athletically, he's not the profile that they're looking for.
Yeah.
They want an athlete. They want someone that is going to, I guess, physically bully players in Serie A. So Chivu talks about intensity, and in the World Cup, the England squad talks about Jed Spence being he's not only one of the highlight players when it came to their team defensively, but they also have an interview where they talk about who's the fastest player on the team, and it was Jed Spence. And they have some quick players on their team. So objectively, I mean, he's going to come in, he's going to be the fastest player on this team, which helps Chivu's high line. And so realistically, I understand exactly why he's coming. Would he have been my first choice? No. But there's obviously some bias there. I'm not going to hide it. And also, I just don't think technically that he's that great. And I love technical players over my pace and power players, but the sport is going in a certain direction. So I'm going to trust Chivu on what he wants. And yeah, there's hardly any players out there, I guess, that are the profile that is ready now to compete at Inter that have these attributes and are technically gifted. So Inter doesn't want to develop players, in other words, at that level and in that position. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there was
I don't know if you got
probably
anything to add.
yeah, there was probably profiles that you could get that were similar and probably cheaper, but not as ready as Chivu wants them now, or as the board wants them now. And if you're looking for a copy paste of Denzel Dumfries regarding profile, this is the closest you're getting. Like you mentioned, Javera Reed is a different type of player in certain aspects, to the point where you'd have to really like try to adapt the system to him, which I don't think is something that Chivu wanted to do. And regarding obviously, you know, recovery, like top speed of I don't even know how many kilometers per hour, like he's crazy fast. And yeah, again, you know, Premier League, this is something that Chivu has been talking about. I think it was post Arsenal. I think I saw someone quote tweet it yesterday or today, how Chivu was saying that he's trying to find solutions regarding keeping up with the intensity of the Premier League internationally. So when you play Premier League teams in the Champions League, which again, I believe that Premier League intensity is something that is overhyped. I know you agree with me here. I don't think that's something that is something that you need to be obsessed with as much as Chivu is pointing it out in that interview. But he's clearly trying to fill that gap by signing players like, you know, John Stones. He wants Curtis Jones and Jed Spence now. So these are players that, you know, are of that, like from that league, first of all, and fit that kind of like, you know, that final push that you want to make towards, okay, you want to make it as physical and you want to be physically present. Like all of these attributes, those are what that's what Jet Spence is bringing basically. And I'm more and more for it, you know, I'm more and more for it. I was always someone that said someone like Diego Moreira would be nice from Strasbourg. I don't even know if he's going anywhere now, but I think he falls more into the category of players that Chivu would want if Luis Henrique leaves. More like a 1v1 dribbler, kind of like Malik Fofana, Moussa Diaby, those kind of players. I think that's more what they see him as, which I understand. And Jed Spence is better defensively as well. So I think more like the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. As much as I don't think he has the look, I was trolling him back when he went back came back from Genoa to wherever he was loaned from, and then went to Tottenham. Right, that to me was hilarious because he was not looking good at Genoa, guys. I don't know if you watched the half season in 23-24. I think it was the second half where he was loaned out. He looked like I have a tweet on it on my page, and now I quote tweeted it. It was from 2024. I quote tweeted it saying it's awkward now because I was trolling him back then. But basically, I was saying he wasn't good at Genoa, and now he's steamrolling the Premier League with Tottenham. Like 6 months later, something's wrong, you know. But after those like 6 months and beyond, up until now, there's the 2 years that he played at Spurs with decent minutes, you know. He's just really improved. And as much as me and you both dislike the Premier League, you have to admit that he has really improved, both tactically and physically. And you know, you have to give him a chance. I know some people were saying, "Oh, he's going to be gone on loan in a year." I think it's a little too harsh. I definitely think he's someone that wants to prove himself. I also think he has personality. I think he adds character to the squad. He adds like that Premier League, you know, no nonsense to the squad, like that proper Englishness. And yeah, seems like a good guy as well. Shout out to him. Has drip as well. You know, knows how to dress. I'm more and more for it. Basically, that's what I'm trying to say.
No, look, and I'll also say here first, before, because it's going to end up in a tweet as well. I respect any of the English players that are willing to leave that country and that league to actually go play real football elsewhere. So
because they know there's more out there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So you know, the Jude Bellingham and Harry Kane category of players that actually want to go prove themselves, not in a league that overhypes them for doing absolutely nothing. So I appreciate it a little bit. So no, I don't hope that they're going to fail. I just wish that we didn't get any players from that league or that nationality. But you're right. I mean, until Chivu can and Inter can like train the players to match that intensity.
Match.
Match that intensity. You got to go get it from places that already have it, right? And I think we can see Chivu trying to get the team there, but you're not doing it with 36-year-old Acerbi. You're not doing it with 36-year-old Henrik Mkhitaryan, So in addition to Chivu wanting the squad and Oaktree wanting the squad to be younger, it matches modern football. You can actually bring that intensity to these players. So it's just about finding them and bridging that gap from Italy being able to do it with the players that are already there now. So all of that it makes sense. And I don't hope that they fail, but you will not see me hyping their technical ability.
Yeah,
that's all I'll say.
I am again, like I said, I agree with you. First of all, I am very curious what you guys think. Let us know in the comments down below in terms of, do you think he'll fail? How do you think he'll do? Is he gonna be like, this is something I add as well. The competition with Andy Juve is gonna push both of them. It's gonna want to make Andy Juve become and learn how to become a right wing back and play that role more, because I feel like he's now the certified backup, especially if Luis Henrique leaves. And two, like, it's going to push Jet Spence to want to play because he knows that there's someone that's, up and coming, not up and coming necessarily, but in the position up and coming to learn to play right wing back. And he knows what he has to do by replacing Denzel Dumfries. I think it's a smart deal. And, I take a lot of the things back that I used to say about him from when he played at Genoa, because he just didn't look good there, but you have to just respect that. Players learn, players grow, players develop. Even at his age, I think he's 26 now, like, you can make a leap from 24 to 26 still. So, yeah, also, guys, if you see me, like, pulling my shirt and whatnot, it is hot here in Rotterdam. It was about 36 degrees, so excuse me if I keep, like... My room is facing south, so you can imagine how hot it is. Anyway,
jeez.
We are going to move on to some potential options regarding... possible departure or possible arrivals connected to a possible departure. That's what I wanted to say, of Luis Henrique. First name is Vanderson. I know that's someone that some of you guys love. I am also a big fan of Vanderson. I think you are as well. I would welcome this. This has only been put out there by Gazzetta, at least in recent weeks. It's good to know that he's still on the list, but we'll have to see how. I don't think he's first choice. I believe Luca as well, that, someone like Moussa Diaby, Malik Fofana are the first, like, choices regarding that. Also because Vanderson is he learned how to play right wing back. He's really a 3-5-2 type of player and not like a number 10 dribbler, as Luca mentioned. But I like the player. I don't know if you want to comment.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think he was more of an option after Spence. And like you said, Spence can play on both wings, but Vanderson is strictly a right side, right back, right wing back player, and does not match the replacement for Luis Henrique. It just doesn't match that at all.
Yeah, I don't think it would be first choice. Let's see. And then this is what me and Sean were asking Luca about earlier. Luca Reggiani is someone that is apparently, or his camp was contacted by Inter, and he wants to return, or he's open to return to Italy. He doesn't say he wants, but he's open to it, which makes sense, right? But he might be expensive. And I understand Luca couldn't really say much because they're checking if it's true, they're checking if it's something that is actually happening. So he doesn't want to say anything before they actually know what's going on. So they're probably making like their inquiries to see if this meeting actually happened or a phone call or whatever. But Bild usually know their stuff. They're in my opinion a step above the funny newspapers we have in Italy regarding Gazzetta and whatnot. I feel like they know that, if someone contacts the camp of a player, I think it's actually happened. So interesting to see, but obviously it wouldn't be cheap. And then you would kind of have to get rid of Benjamin Pavard, because this is not someone you send to the under 23s, and this is definitely someone you let, you have him learn under Akanji, under Stones, etc., etc. These type of deals are not going to be cheap, but it's interesting or it's good to know also that this is something that Inter might be serious about. I don't know if you know much about the player.
What I can say in particular is that he is a really promising, good Italian tall center back, and I'm really glad that he's in Germany. If you want to talk about Italians being able to train and build up that intensity of play that is needed in European football and where the sport's going, Germany is one of the best places to do that. And so the only thing that I think would stop the camp from considering coming to Inter of all places is that he's going to get good minutes at Borussia Dortmund this year. And so if he can't guarantee a good amount of minutes at Inter, or they're not willing to keep him on loan there at Borussia Dortmund, then I don't see them agreeing to this deal.
I think that's what I would try to do. Like maybe agree a deal, but keep him on loan for either 6 months and then ship out Benjamin Pavard in January, or just do a whole year loan and then try to get rid of Pavard in the summer again. But regardless, I feel like that's someone that, even if you don't get him now straight away, someone for the future is like, it makes sense, it absolutely makes sense. And I get you with the minutes too, because he would be 5th or 6th center back at Inter. So you have to be very cautious with your decision making as a young player there. So let's see. But I liked what you said about the Bundesliga. It's similar to other leagues we've mentioned in the past few weeks regarding sending young players there. I also know, obviously, Luca spoke about Köln's offer for Idrissou. I also think he got an offer from Bayer Leverkusen, which we'll talk about later. A little bit unconfirmed, but I definitely think that helps like that, places like that are perfect, literally perfect for these type of talents. And you see the fruits. Like there's a lot of players that you can name. Also Filippo Mane, who's literally ahead of Reggiani at Dortmund, and I think a year or two older, right? So literally perfect example. But we'll have to wait and see. We'll talk about Idrissou later as well again. And someone who, we talked about before for centre backs has now joined Atletico Madrid. I don't know if it's been made official yet, but we have the here we go. Cuti Romero. And obviously the deal has been off for a while, but we knew that the focus shifted. And in hindsight, I'm happy that we went for Spence rather than him. I'm not going to lie. To solve the right wing back issue first was more important. You kind of have to look at it like that. So definitely the right choice there.
I agree. Yeah, it was the position was more important. I wouldn't say that I would have chosen one player over, like I want Cuti Romero more, but the right wing back is definitely more important.
Yeah. Then guys, Luca talked about potential replacements for Luis Henrique already. Malik Fofana, we know this is just a name which is interesting that Luca said that Inter got Malik Fofana proposed. So it's not like they reached out, but he said that he was proposed to Inter, which is interesting. But right now, there's nothing, obviously. We'll have to wait and see what happens if Luis Henrique leaves. Same for Moussa Diaby, which I have a feeling that this is fading more and more because of Bayer Leverkusen's interest, one, even though it's kind of stalled the last few days, but two, also because he doesn't want to have don't want the severance pay that they're talking about. So regarding him leaving Al Ittihad in the first place. So, and then, Simone Tonya says here, with these conditions, Diaby to Inter will not materialize. I get it. I think that's the more difficult deal, if anything. Hopefully, again, I'm not a big fan of signing Nico Gonzalez as a replacement. I don't think we talked about this last week. We don't need to mention it again. It doesn't really make sense. So even if Luis Henrique does leave, I feel like someone like Malik Fofana would be the way to go. And then obviously we talked about Curtis Jones. It's interesting what Luca said. I definitely think it's interesting because a lot of journalists are acting like, path is clear now. Curtis Jones is coming because Frattesi leaves. I don't think it's that simple, guys. I don't think it's that simple. And I've also personally said before, as much as it makes sense to secure him now to maybe help him get used to a league and midfield and then fully like make him a key player next season, I don't think we necessarily have to push for him for 40 million with 1 year left on his contract. I said this already last episode, guys. Sean said this as well. This is something that, why don't you just rather like promote someone like Topalovic, make him 7th midfielder? I don't think it's necessarily needed. If it does happen, of course, sure, then the board clearly thinks that this is a player they need to have now. However, this is why it's important what Luca said. It doesn't automatically mean just because Davide Frattesi left that this clears the path for Curtis Jones to join. It's more so like you still depend on Liverpool. You still depend on Liverpool's asking price. You still depend on what they want in terms of their ideal fee when they think of selling Curtis Jones. So we know the player wants to come. That's for sure. Shout out to Gianluigi Longari, who replied here as well. And then Thomas with the GIF for basically reporting that there's already an agreement with the player, which, we know isn't difficult because he wants to join. But he basically says that's the next step and that Inter are ready to increase their offer, which is interesting because it says Liverpool's asking price of around 40 million. But Fabrizio has a feeling that 35 million will be enough. So I wonder if he's talking about 35 flat out and then bonuses. So we'll have to wait and see. What do you think?
I think I've been very critical of the management. This is the one time I agree with them this summer. You don't match Liverpool's asking price of 40 million for a player that's leaving in a year.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
They aren't going to play, that is obviously disgruntled, that wants to come to play at Inter, whether it's that he wants the club specifically or if he wants to play for a Champions League team. It's there's no point in sucking up to Premier League prices when you basically hold all the cards in your own hand. So this deal can wait, especially because the midfield's not as important as anything else. And honestly, in my opinion, we have 8 midfielders right now. We have to move on from the other 2 that we're going to talk about that Luca mentioned before we even go get Jones. I don't, it's going to be a lot of surplus if Jones comes in at a price that Liverpool want with all the players that we have in midfield right now. So, be patient on this one.
Yeah, also wages too. You need to remember, like Aslani's only going to leave on loan most likely with some obligation, whatever. Arsenal's only leaving on loan. Frattesi, we know what happened. These are all players that you still have on the books. You need to permanently get rid of these players. Also on the books to free up the wage space also for Curtis Jones. Like, people think that you're getting rid of one player, at least if you loan him out, then you have space. It's not just about space, it's also about financial, freedom to be able to sign these players and give these players a contract, because Curtis Jones is a Premier League player. You know what that means for contract. So it's not going to be easy. Also, there's obviously they're not saving because they don't have the I forgot the name now. There's an Italian word for it, for the basically making the gap between net and gross salary cheaper. That is also not possible for Curtis Jones, so you're adding extra money for his wages basically. Anyway, growth decree, that's what it's called. Sorry. I forgot. Yeah. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens. I'm with you on this one. Guys, some breaking news regarding Inter under 23's performance. They got knocked out of the Serie C Coppa Italia on penalties, losing 7-6 to Vado. So Mattia Marello did score the equalizing goal. From what I heard, it was a Lavelli penalty that he missed, and then Marello scored the rebound. It ended 1-1 during regular time. Apparently there was no extra time. Maybe there was, I don't know. But Jan Suberek and Matthias Mancuso saw their penalties saved. So disappointing start to the season. But yeah, I don't really understand the competition anyway. What do you mean there's a Serie C Coppa Italia anyway? So that's the
well, they just don't want to be like the FA Cup, I guess. They don't want to add 60 teams.
Include them.
I agree.
Why not? it's like one of those lower league cups they have in England. It's like, what's the point, Anyway,
It's not like it's only gonna add what 2 or 3 rounds before the Serie A clubs start
literally doesn't hurt anyone.
chipping in. Yeah,
Literally doesn't hurt anyone.
whatever.
But yeah, guys, we move on to the official announcement that Davide Frattesi has joined Lazio. Obviously, we mentioned it to Luca, and it is a loan with the option to buy. And Luca explained what happened this morning. So the deal was reported to be suspended by Sky Sport Di Marzio, and the league denied the transfer due to Lazio's issues, which we just explained as well. And yeah, it was a bit of panic, but you just had to change the structure of the deal. And it is now, obviously the obligation was the issue, which is interesting to me because how are they going to, I guess they block the obligation no matter if the requirements are easy or difficult. I think that's the problem. However, if you're paying 5 mil for a loan, you might as well buy him. So I understand this.
What it sounds like is that Lazio only had, I mean, with the way that the deal is structured now, they only had 5 million to say on their books was guaranteed money. So
Yeah.
if they if they have 10 million in liquidity next summer, then they can exercise the option. But they can't say that they have 15 million for the upcoming years because they don't have 15 million for the upcoming years is kind of how it sounds to me. So they're in a horrible spot right now, financially. And yes, it's a league. Sounded like it was a league issue, not a financial fair play issue. Like they wouldn't register for the league basically if they don't.
It was just regulations, really. Yeah, it was just automatic regulations. Like it's not like someone denied it. It's just it gets run through the system. That's kind of how Luca explained it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so no more obligation. However, people were panicking, including me. But if you realize that if you pay 5 million for a loan, then you're also gonna be more likely to use the option to buy at that point. So that's the thing with Davide Frattesi. We talked about Luis Henrique already. I think Luca said enough on him. That what the situation is, you guys know. It came out of nowhere. Shout out to Luca and his camp once again for reporting it first thing on Monday. So yeah, it came out of nowhere as well. So interesting. But that's the situation, what he explained earlier. Benjamin Pavard, we talked about it last week. We even made it one of the 3 key points in the tweet that he's staying. And, he still is, guys. There's nothing I want to add to it. He still is staying. As always, he's someone that if a good last minute offer arrives, I'm not saying that, like, basically the board isn't saying that he's untouchable. If there's a good offer, I'm sure that they'll also be quick to find a replacement. However, right now, there's nothing, and he's looking to stay, which I'm like 90% sure that he's staying. I have a feeling that he's going to be the 5th or 6th centre back. Then there was some talk of Barcelona. I don't even want to mention them and their drama with Julian Alvarez and whatnot, and then their B plans. They were talking about Luis Suarez from Sporting and Lautaro Martinez. So that was shut down pretty quickly by basically everyone saying that obviously they appreciate the striker. I also appreciate the striker, like what are we doing here? So there's nothing, guys. I think I have to laugh every time I read these things because it's just there's no point of talking about it. And then on some more official outgoings, more like under 23 / Primavera related, Ayman Zouin has joined Parma on a permanent deal. They actually played today in the Coppa Italia, and they won 2-0. He was on the bench, but he didn't play. What's interesting is that Cuesta is playing a 3-5-2. I think you pointed this out to me. And it's going to be interesting to see where he fits in. Maybe he changes formation. Maybe it was just a formation to use in the cup. But yeah, he was on the bench already.
It's interesting. I don't know. Different apps have different formations, but Cuesta has played a couple of different formations last season, but yeah, today it looks like it was a 3-5-2. But that could have been the only way to fit in certain players that he wanted to play. And he went with a very young lineup. So and Zouin needs some time.
Yeah, definitely. But I feel like I said last week, I think we mentioned this last week because it just wasn't official. It was close. it's good, first of all, that there's a buyback clause in there, and it's also good that he's setting an example for other players that, I mean, he's literally skipped the whole under 23. I love the example that, you know, other players can say, okay, if I ball out in the Primavera, I might not even need the under 23. I could get myself a move to Serie A. If you remember last time we had Luca on, he mentioned to us that Koki is someone that also had interest from Serie A, and he ended up going to Padova, probably because nothing facilitated. But clubs like Atalanta were interested. And, you know, if things go differently, maybe Koki plays in Serie A, but obviously he doesn't. But, which, by the way, if you want to watch, he plays tomorrow. Padova have their cup game tomorrow. But yeah, Ayman Zuin, there's some details on the deal. 500k fixed fee to Inter, 20% sell-on clause if he doesn't come back to Inter, and then the buyback is worth 1 million, valid for 2 years. I don't know how Parma agreed to this, but, you know, great for Inter regardless. And
I think that's why some things don't materialize. If just before we go on to the next couple names, I think Inter is pretty stubborn when it comes to trying to hold on to these players. And the other clubs don't want to give us, you know, what we want. They're going to try to do good business for themselves, you know. If you they want to say they believe in the player, so like they just want to hold on to him and get the most out of them. So yeah, it's disappointing at times, but it makes sense.
Yeah. Then we have another official announcement. Graphic design is my passion right here from Cosenza, about Daniele Quieto, who has joined the Serie C side. Not a good look on this announcement.
No,
I don't know who made this, guys. They need to hire Thomas, but good luck to him.
Yeah,
that was made official. And then same thing for Pescara, who, look, they're kind of a hipster team, but like this graphic is ridiculous, bro. They've got his mugshot and on the front, but Matteo Motta obviously has joined on a permanent deal as well. So I think Inter have a sell-on clause on him too. So all the best to the left back, I think he is. And then some more youth rumors. Obviously, we talked about Maye. Luca said it's 50-50 regarding him leaving or staying. I think it's better for him if he goes somewhere else. He already had a year in the under 23, and several clubs in Italy and abroad are interested in the defender. I would say if there's a mid to low table Serie A side where he can fight his way into the squad, do it. I think he's ready for that. And then similarly for another defender, Francesco Stante, he, is set to stay at Inter under 23, but Empoli and Vicenza, so 2 Serie B sides, are monitoring him. Definitely someone to keep, I think. Even though he already had a year with under 23s, I don't know. Maybe you would send him to Serie B.
I would send him to Serie B, because there's plenty of center backs that Inter can slot in for the U23 team. So I'm not worried about the U23 team.
Also Donato, we didn't talk about him earlier when Luca mentioned all the youngsters. Donato, literally one of the breakout stars from Italy's under 17. Was it World Cup or Euros? I forgot.
I think it was World Cup.
Yeah, that is the player to look out for regarding the centre back's position in the Primavera and hopefully under 23 as well, because he was also with the squad. We didn't mention him earlier. And then we talked about Kamate. This is from Matteo Maretto, but Luca confirmed that there is another team, which we currently do not know, that also approached Inter for the midfielder. So let's see what happens with him. And then we talked about Jamal Idrissou, of course, Bayer Leverkusen and PSV. I have now literally been screaming for PSV these last few weeks, about like players like him going there. And now look, they came in with an offer of, someone even said 7.5 million. I think it was Tuttosport, and we didn't report it. But the club asks more to sell the young forward. I understand, but I think you don't need to ask for more than 7 to 8 million if you're going to get a buyback clause. I don't think it's ridiculous to sell him for a lower fee if you have the control. Like, you're literally paying, like, you're getting paid for another club to do the development for you. I don't think that that's necessarily stupid. I think that you need to take an offer eventually.
Yeah, just think about what Real Madrid did. You know, they did it with Nico Paz perfectly.
Oh yeah,
You sell him for 4 million. The first summer 6 million buyback, next summer 7 million, third summer 8 million. You took him the second summer, you took him back, you sold him right back to the team for 60 million euros. Yeah, like you don't need to ask for really high values if you're going to give them more money in a year or two to develop your player. But this gives both clubs incentive to send them. So, yeah, just stop being so stubborn.
yeah. And then, guys, just this is everything we have for transfer rumors. The first thing we're going to talk about this later. The first thing I want to mention regarding contract renewals is Pio Esposito, who his entourage was at the Inter HQ today to basically discuss the contract renewal even further. And you know, there's no rush because obviously he has 4 years left on the current deal. But I like the fact that you're just getting this done early. So good to know. And similarly for Leonardo Bovio, who's also a great talent. And he's already signed a contract extension, according to Di Marzio, and also Luca mentioned it earlier. So he is staying and also staying with the under 23s, which is something that obviously we asked. So good to know. And I think under 23, at least for 6 months, and then you can still go on loan, is definitely good. You know, if he just shines like if he's just outstanding, you have to send him to like a Serie A club or something because he's clearly very ready. He looked very ready during preseason.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's almost there to make that next step.
Yeah, just about. Like I think if you gave him 3 more months, even, I think he would be ready to go to a top league and to a first division team. And then, guys, this is nice to see. Thomas Zanetti, son of legendary Inter captain Javier Zanetti, has joined the club's under 15 academy side. Man, he looks about 12. I don't know how old he is, but yeah, good to see. Heritage, as Thomas says. And on John Stones, he will wear the number 6. If you want to buy yourself the shirt for a solid $126.99, you can now do so. Replica as well, not even authentic. So yeah, that's the number he's getting, and we'll obviously find out about Jed Spence's shirt number soon as well. And then if you guys haven't already seen it on Inter's socials, this is Inter's new training facilities. I don't know if you saw it, Sean, but man,
I want to go see more pictures, but I did see the post. But
there's a trailer that they released about, you know, how it's gonna look when everything is finished. But this is already looking very solid. I really like this. This is cold. So they already visited it. They already had a look, and it's good work. It looks very very nice. But yeah, Sean, unless you have something else for me, as always, that is going to be it. And
yeah, that's all the news. We do have there's the upcoming event that we have in the next week before the Serie A season starts, before we record again, which is the friendly with Real Betis tomorrow. We're recording this Friday evening, so yeah, that's it. So
yeah,
one last test.
One last test. Yeah, we already mentioned it last Sunday, but obviously just so you guys remember, 7:30 p.m., 1:30 EST, 12:30 for you. So yeah, should be a good test. And we have the predicted, actually. Let me pull up the predicted before I forget, so you guys can see what it would look like. It looks like this could already be the starting 11 for the first Serie A game. It's very close, I think, anyway. So
yeah,
Sky Sport Italia have Martinez in goal, Akanji, Stones, Bastoni, Juve, Barella, Cialanolo, Zielinski, Di Marco, Boni, and Esposito. I think this makes perfect sense. Too early for Spence, obviously. I would prefer Akanji in the middle and Bisek on the right, or vice versa, but you know, why not give John Stones the chance against Monza? And we'll obviously see how he performs tomorrow. So also should be a great game in front of the crowd in Bari. Great stadium. So definitely going to be looking forward to that one. Don't miss it, guys. But for now, I think that's everything. As we mentioned at the start, make sure you go follow us on all the socials. Make sure you leave us some comments down below on anything we talked about, any opinions, guys. We always look forward to reading every comment. And again, follow Luca on all the platforms, support him. Hopefully we'll have him back soon. But yeah, that is everything. We will see you guys in the next episode, probably again on Friday, to preview just the season in general a little bit as well. It's going to be good before the Monza game, which is on the 22nd, I believe. So in basically just over a week. So we are very excited. But guys, for now, that's everything. Let us know what you think in the comments. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Forza Inter.